watching South Asia Newsline. And now for all the details. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar on Wednesday warned ASEAN partners that the world has become extremely turbulent and that no country can tackle today's challenges alone. Speaking at the meetings of Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN in Manila, he stressed that maritime trade security can no longer be taken for granted amid rising geopolitical tensions. Meanwhile, Canada's Foreign Minister Anita Anand said Ottawa aims to conclude a free trade agreement with ASEAN this year. The meetings come amid growing global instability, including concerns over energy supplies and economic uncertainty.
In this era of volatility and disruption, the most visible stress is on supply chains. Energy, food and health security can no longer be taken for granted. Because we are all so dependent on maritime trade, that too could become a source of anxiety. Observing international law in that regard is therefore vital.
And I'm also very encouraged by the progress being made in the negotiations for the ASEAN-Canada Free Trade Agreement, which we aim to complete this year. For Canada, this agreement is more than just a trade deal. It is a priority for us to make a strategic investment in mutual economic resilience and long-term prosperity.
Apart from other bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit, Jaishankar separately took part in the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting in Manila and reviewed the Indo-Pacific landscape and discussed recent development. The leaders followed up on the outcomes of the recent New Delhi meeting and committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific with a recognition of ASEAN centrality. Security forces were placed on high alert after a policeman was shot dead by suspected terrorists in Anantnag in India's Jammu and Kashmir on Wednesday, according to media reports. Security was stepped up across several parts of the region, including at Lal Chowk, where the shooting reportedly took place. Manoj Sinha, Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, expressed condolences to the family of the head constable Ashik Hussain Qureshi. The incident comes a year after the deadly April 2025 attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam, where terrorists opened fire on tourists, killing at least 26 people and injuring several others before fleeing into nearby forests. The attack triggered the worst military confrontation between India and Pakistan in decades. New Delhi accused Pakistan of backing the assault, an allegation Islamabad rejected. India's National Investigation Agency later charged Pakistan-based militant group Lashkar-e-Taiba and its proxy, the Resistance Front, with allegedly planning, facilitating and executing the Pahalgam attack. Iran's Interior Minister Iskandar Momeni held a meeting with Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Tuesday. Momeni had asked Pakistan to resume its mediation role in the conflict before arriving in Islamabad for further talks. A senior Iranian official told on Monday that Tehran had received a proposal from mediators for a 10-day ceasefire in efforts to salvage the interim deal, intended to pave the way to a lasting deal to end the war that began on February 28 with US-Israeli attacks on Iran. Momeni also met Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir. A statement from Pakistan Armed Forces said, "The latest phase of fighting has proved to be among the deadliest of the conflict for US forces." US Army troop deaths rose to at least 17 over the weekend. Trump, under mounting pressure at home over rising gasoline prices since the war began, said the latest US strikes on Iran were avenging the deaths of American service members. The war has killed thousands of people, mostly in Iran and Lebanon. Parts of Lebanon remain under Israeli occupation following attacks on Israel by Hezbollah fighters who said they were acting in solidarity with Tehran. And ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has declared that she will return to her country Bangladesh despite the possibility of arrest or prosecution. In a defiant virtual address at the International Strategic Dialogue, the Awami League president said she was prepared to face prison or even death, saying her decision was driven by what she described as the welfare of the Bangladeshi people. Hasina also declared that no one lives forever and that she was willing to sacrifice herself if necessary. The former Prime Minister maintained that she did not voluntarily leave Bangladesh, saying she was flown out of the country while serving as Prime Minister. She added that she expected to return in the same manner. Drawing comparisons with previous periods of political exile, Hasina recalled her return to Bangladesh in 1981 and again after 2007 political crisis, saying earlier attempts to prevent her return had failed. Hasina also criticized the current administration's handling of recent flooding that killed over 50 people in Bangladesh. She praised party activists for continuing relief efforts despite what she described as limited resources and difficult economic conditions. And flash floods triggered by torrential rains have left a trail of destruction in Afghanistan's Nuristan province. Officials from Afghanistan's National Disaster Management Authority say at least 20 people have been killed, around 80 injured, and more than 100 are still missing. Homes, roads, and public infrastructure were left in ruins as residents scrambled to escape. Parun, the provincial capital, was among the hardest hit areas with widespread damage reported to homes, hotels, and essential infrastructure. The Afghan government has expressed condolences to families of those killed and has urged emergency teams to accelerate rescue operations. Afghanistan is among the countries most vulnerable to climate change. Experts say increasingly intense rainfall combined with widespread deforestation in mountainous regions such as Nuristan has made flash floods more frequent and more destructive. Authorities say search and rescue operations are continuing, with emergency teams working to locate the missing and assess the full extent of the damage.
دا چې 13 ورځ په دغه پارون ښار باندې دغه یو سیلاب راغی او دغه سیلاب له امله تقریبا تر 9 پورې هوټلونه او همدغه شانه نور ډېر زیات زیان یې اړولی چې تاسې خپله ګورئ. د دغې زیان له امله تقریبا تر 100 زیات هیوادوال چې دي هغه تلف شوي دي.
2 بجې په 2:30 بجې وې او دغه شانې څه سیلاب راغلی. په سیلاب داسې موږ په دوکان کې ناست وو خو د وطن ټول یو ځل نه خوځېده. موږ اړې په زلزله ده زلزله نه وه ناڅاپه بس دغه سیلاب راورسېد او مخلوق یې بس خلک یې خطر کړه او خلک یې بس هر سړي ځان خلاصوو.
And Nepal is considering sweeping reforms to tighten Mount Everest climbing regulations as its integrated tourism bill enters a parliamentary committee for scrutiny. A total of 58 lawmakers have proposed 263 amendments aimed at improving mountaineering safety, reducing overcrowding, strengthening environmental protections, and enhancing governance. The proposed changes would require climbers to have prior high-altitude mountaineering experience in Nepal before receiving permits for Everest or other 8,000-meter peaks. Many lawmakers have also called for mandatory mountaineering training, recent medical fitness certification, and full acclimatization within Nepal before summit attempts. Other key proposals include limiting commercial expeditions to Nepal-registered trekking agencies, capping the number of climbers based on each mountain's carrying capacity, banning single-use plastics, and introducing zero-waste policy. The bill, which was passed by Nepal's National Assembly in February, will return to Parliament for final debate and voting after the committee completes its review. The National Assembly passed the Integrated Tourism Bill on February 9. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.